Turn off the lights, turn up the sound. Okay. All I remembered at that point was finding myself alone. Oh. Oh, my head. Where was I? It was so dark. There was something by my feet. A flashlight. Alright. This looks kind of neat. Already liking this better than fucking Emily wants to play. That house. Where was I? There was a body lying on the floor. Who was it? I don't know. Fucking investigate it. I didn't recognize his face. He was still kind of warm. Oh, hi, kitty. Neat. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg, I wondered. All I could really recall was coming home, seeing Rachel. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head and tried to clear it. I knew I should head downstairs to try and find a way out. The shelf was full of books on local history and hunting. It seemed like an owner of the house really knew the area. An old dining table covered in dirty dishes for 2 people. There were dozens of beer cans and other liquor bottles among the dishes. The smell was turning my stomach. A black and white photo looked like the man upstairs and his wife. I guessed. There was no reason for me to keep this. Did I take it? Yes. I slipped the photo into my pocket. Maybe this would help me find some answers. Alright, so a thin gray mouse was stuck in a trap. It looked frantic but exhausted. Did I free it? Yeah. Why not? A collection of rusty tools. They looked like they'd seen a lot of use and were caked in damp smelling dirt. Why weren't they in a shed? Photo similar to the old one I picked up. It'd been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Did I push the switch? Yes. It depressed smoothly into the wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. Alright. Now, as I was just saying, this is already 100 times better than the last game I was just playing, Emily Wants to Play, which is fucking hot garbage. This is at least, like, visually interesting. It has a very distinct art style. The bathroom was spotless. Everything had been wiped to sheen. I wondered if it was the man's wife who did the cleaning or him. You know, like, look at this. It's pixel art, looks good. There was a photo development tray lying on the floor. Some leftover negatives were sticking out, but they were pretty blurry. I thought I saw what looked like treetops. You know, I mean, look, pixel, nice little pixel style, which looks really nice and neat. It looked like hell. My clothes were dirty. I looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn. There was mud caked all over my shoes. The front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. Okay. The door was taped up and seemed to be stuck. By the smell, I guessed it led to the kitchen. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I'd find a way out. I must have moved it, right? Yeah. I heaved the box forward and it finally gave. There was a ladder going underground where the box was. A dank smell rose in the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? Yes. I looked again at the photo I found in the house. The couple looked distant, like they didn't want to be in the same picture. I wondered where the wife was. My leg was in terrible shape, but I had to get out. Footprints in the dirt. Looked like more than one kind and a lot of traffic. Places all over were marked on the old map of town, the industrial area near the river, various houses, even the water tower near the old rail station. Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait. There were photos of our house. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, try to find some kind of information. Go do that. I knew I needed to take a look. Okay. A work table, covered in papers, dirt, and a handgun. I hated guns. Did I take it? Yes. Yes, you did. It was so dark down here, and the air smelled stale and putrid. I couldn't believe what I saw. What was this place? The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old faded paper, covered with what looked like names. They were scratched out and illegible. Notes were written beside them in faded blue ink. I could only make out a few letters. He, if, a, hell, are, af, o, ro. None of it made any sense to me. That makes two of us, buddy. I'm just going to turn the sound up on this one because the sound design on this game is actually interesting. Unlike Emily Wants to Play, which is hot garbage. There looked to be bones half dug into the ground, and the remains looked old. Faded clothes that stuck up amongst the dirt looked familiar. They looked like the clothes that woman was wearing in the photo I found. Was this the man's wife? I don't know. It's a good question there, buddy. Some kind of homemade rack slung together with poorly cut wooden rope. It's caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? I don't know. Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. The labels were worn and slick, but I could still see the warnings. It looked like a cage? It was small, but there was something coating the bottom, something wet. Ugh. Some kind of old boxes. They look like they were years old. Wait a minute. These boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remember throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing here? That is a very good question, buddy. Let's keep exploring. The fuck? Oh, bats. Okay, that's cool. I remember noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. Or just not go down it. There was a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Yes. Maybe the rope would make that broken ladder easier to descend. That's a skeleton in the wall. I had the rope now. There must have been a use for it around somewhere. Huh. And it's a skeleton in the wall. The rope I found would let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yes. I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. A bunch of old newspapers, wheat pasted together. A message has been hastily smeared on it. Keep out, danger due to cave-in. Alright. I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy metal door. It was probably for the best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it was. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of those awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least, I thought, I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work, and from the smell of it, had been used already. I kept the gun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight there. There was dirt on the ground, it looked wet, and there was grass smeared within it. Disgusting, it was a mess of filthy garbage bags. There were rips and tears in most of the bags. What looked like old videotape was sticking out. Did I take the tape? Yeah. I wasn't sure what I hoped to discover with the tape, but I took it anyway. Yeah, because you're in a horror game, so of course you're going to take it. Who knows what's on that tape? I could hear a faint trickling sound like water. What was that? Probably water. A kitchen knife covered in drying blood. Thinking about it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? Yeah. Slipped the knife into my boot. I had the gun in my pocket. Did I really need all this? Yeah. Yeah, you do. Just to be safe. The door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. No, that one's not locked. I wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. I wasn't sure what those valves were for. Did I turn it anyway? Yeah. Through the dust, I could see handprints from previous use, probably from whoever worked in these sewers. Whatever these valves did, this one wasn't pumping water anymore. Alright. Door still locked. I wasn't sure what these valves are for. Yes. Turn all the valves. Alright, door's still locked. There was a rusty ladder sunk into the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew I couldn't climb down that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water. Oh, I thought I did that already. God damn it. I thought I hit all the valves. What? Looked like I turned it off the water flow in this valve. Okay. Thought I turned them all off, but alright. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yes. Yes. Okay. I apparently missed two of them somehow. God damn it. Alright, let's try turning off just 3. Because 1 and 4 are already turned off. See if that has any effect. Nope. Oh. Jesus Christ. I just didn't turn it enough times. There we go. That should solve it, I think. Good job, David. See, playing fucking Emily Wants to Play has broken my basic functionality of my brain. Shallow rented pool of water, yes. Safety poster had definitely been seen better days. How old was that facility? Door was locked. See a faint light within. Found another dead body, a sewer worker. By the wounds all over his face and body, I figured he'd been stabbed repeatedly. There was a key ring sticking out of the man's pocket. Did I take it? Yes. Thought about the knife I had found with some disgust as I carefully picked the keys from his pocket. I was almost worried he was going to grab me. There was a security camera in the room. There must have been a way to see what had happened. Maybe the VHS tape I found could be useful? I don't know. No. There was a hint of fresh air here. I must have been near an exit, but I wondered what did that key I found on the sewer worker do, and what was on the videotape I found. I don't know, but let's go find out, Mr. fucking Nosy Pants. Shelf full of security tapes was strictly organized, though covered in dust. Looked like the tape I found was the one that was missing from the shelf. There's a dusty VCR on the security desk. I wondered what was on the VHS tape I found. Did I play the tape? Yes. The video showed a man right there in the sewers being attacked. The tape looked fuzzy and stretched like somebody had tampered with it. It looked like there could have been two men. Alright. I tried a bunch of the keys on the keyring, and I found that the sewer worker, on the keyring I found on the sewer worker, and one of them seemed to fit. Excuse me. A collection of stale liquor bottles covered the floor. The wall was littered with dozens of old, faded papers. Whoever did this was obsessed with some local murders. According to some of the clippings, bodies had been found in the ravines, in the forest, and in one case dumped in the back of an abandoned truck. I couldn't be sure, but I thought some of these same articles had been pasted up back in those tunnels. Faded receipt was half trampled on the floor. It was from a local train station and was for 2 tickets. I didn't know what use it could be, but did I keep the receipt? Sure. Why? All right. Oh. Okay. An exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe someone crawled through there, but it was so high up that must have been a sore landing. There was similar dirt on my own shoes. Right. That's the security office. Right. That's where the bloody dude was. Must have been the ventilation shaft. Whoever used it could have gotten past the flooded room with this. How astute. Would I need that gun or that knife before the end? Both weighed me down and aggravated my leg as I climbed that old ladder. The thought of that videotape still gives me chills. Who was it then? Or, I'm sorry, who was it that didn't want to be seen? Was it the same person that held those clippings away in the locked room? Suddenly the awful smell that sewer gave way to pine-scented blast of fresh air. Why do I have a feeling that he killed somebody? An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder needed to be extended so I could climb it. Did I extend the ladder? Yes. Popped the latch, brought the ladder down. More bats. Patch of smeared dirt and grass. There was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Did I take it? Yes. I slid the filthy wallet into my back pocket. I noticed it didn't contain any kind of gun permit. In fact, it didn't contain any cards or IDs of any kind. I thought they should recover my credit card and driver's license at least. From the railing, I could see over the woods and down to the entrance to the sewers. Had I come through there before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. Why is that a concern? Who gives a shit if somebody saw you? Tried the look he had fished out of the murky puddle in the sewers. It fit and heaved open the rusty door. The wind was picking up a bit. The night air has become strangely chilly. I'm gonna go this way first. And that's a wall. Alright. The old train station was quiet as a tomb. The only sound was that of the increasing wind buffeting the decrepit structure. An old map encased in glass hung on the wall. It was the train routes connected to that old station. As I looked at it, it seemed familiar. Of course, the map I found in those tunnels had similar locations marked, and the other notes I found on the other man's bookshelf. His notes mentioned the water tower and even the train yard. What was he doing coming back here? Alright. The old train was ripped open and hanging from a shred of metal, as well as the broken fence was a dark stained patch of cloth. It looked synthetic, like some kind of outerwear. Inside the train shell I could see a few faint impacts like wounds. Could they have been bullet marks? Was somebody shot there? The ground was well worn, though I couldn't really make anything out. I realized I was touching the gun I had found as I thought. That's fucking weird. I have a feeling whatever happened, this guy did it. Just gonna throw it out there, because that's a pretty common trope in horror games, is the amnesiac fucking protagonist. Turns out they did it in the end. The fuck did I do with my water? Yeah, damn it. It's all the way across the room. That sucks. Alright. An old ticket booth that looked fairly ruined. Inside the ticket window were sheets of paper and weight. What were these? Train receipts? I thought the receipt I had picked up might match these, but of course not. This station had been closed for years. The ticket must have been from the newer station that opened up on the other side of town after this one was abandoned. However, I had noticed a series of fresher-looking paper covered in tiny notes, scribbles, and diagrams. It looked like someone had been leafing through the ledger, looking for something, a name perhaps. Perhaps indeed. Alright. That's about as far as I can go that way. So let's go this way. And that was a wall. This one led to the water tower, I think. No. Yeah, no, it did. Ah, okay, that's where I came up. Alright. Yeah, there's no map or anything, so I don't know really what I'm... Right, because that's the water tower. Okay. Got it. Did I go through this door already? No, I didn't. Okay. This must have been the entrance to the forest that was mentioned on that map I'd seen. Whoever was poking around in those tunnels underneath that man's house had scribbled notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here the sign pointed out various campsites and walking paths within the woods. It mentioned a river and maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. Alright. The fuck? Oh. Trampled into the dirt and grass was a plastic card of some kind. I brushed off and was surprised to see it was my credit card. I wasn't sure if it was still usable, but it was mine. Did it take my credit card? Yes. Pocketed the credit card. Hopefully I could find my driver's license too. Building. I wonder if I could find my way around? I don't know, can you? That's a rock. There was a fire pit there. It was still a bit warm, and a few embers still burned at the bottom. 2 folding camping chairs were on the ground. One was knocked over. There were a couple of cans of beer spilled on the ground. The cheap dome tent slept 2 people. I shone my flashlight inside and could see some bedrolls, 2 backpacks, and a cooler. Nobody's inside, though. No, no. Don't. No, no. The grimy sink had a small patch in it, and it looked almost clean. Musty wooden plank propped up the stall door. It didn't really seem useful. Did I bother to take it? Yes. I wasn't sure why, but I took the plank. Because you're gonna need it at some point. For something. This is a horror game, which means take all the things. It's just a thing you do, buddy. I don't remember which gap I went through. They all kind of look the same. The sign was the same as the first one I'd seen. This must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. Alright. I'd finally found the exit. Once I left, I knew I never wanted to return there. Alright, well, you don't have to. Finding that campsite had been strangely unsettling. I couldn't imagine why anyone would abandon their site in the middle of the night, especially in that dark forest. I was relieved, at least, to finally be out of there. Even now, as I peered through the dense trees, I could see cracks of light and a bit of the land beyond. Must have been getting closer to town, but where exactly was I? In the spooky graveyard? As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a machinist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it's just the wind? Gap. I'll go through the door first. One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. Door was locked shut. There was a little electronic box under the handle. A sign was pasted to the front that said, "Danger, closed for repairs." A large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off to other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear, and cobwebs had collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. The door was locked tight. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. The board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Your power panel looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Yes. The open locker was stuffed with dirty books, clothes, and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out and the face was unrecognizable. All right. Yes. Shut tight. There was a rusty looking card slot on the side. All right. Okay. Our old break table. The layer of dust and grime made seeing this sting more. Sorry, bro. Door had been hastily boarded up. Yeah, no shit. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented like someone had punched it. I remember him doing that when we worked here. Help me get the power back on there. Push the switch, yes. Utility shelf crammed with mishmashed tools and items. There's a claw hammer on the shelf, yes. Being useful and productive, there in this plant, that was all I ever wanted. When the factory closed, everything got worse. Yeah, I really have a feeling that he is the cause of whatever this shit happened. The locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Take the card, yes. Put the key card into my pocket. There we go. Like, seriously, I'm guessing. I would love to be surprised that this was not another case of the protagonist. I struck with the hammer and the old wooden boards came apart easily. I tried to remove the planks, left the hammer on the floor. Like I said, I would love for this not to be the protagonist is the cause of whatever happened horror game. This was my locker there in the factory. It stank of booze. There was a picture of Rachel on the inside. It looked like it had been torn up. I thought I'd taken that picture home when the factory closed. Floor was there with old liquor bottles. I wondered if that man in the house had something to do with this. He sure had a lot of alcohol in this place. Yeah, I have a feeling that this is going to turn out to be a situation where the protagonist did it. Another smudge of dirt, similar to the one I found in the sewers, was on the floor. Large pile of building materials and debris blocked the way. Rusty old regulator of some kind sat dusty and unused against the wall. Blank factory was like a tomb and never got repaired. We never came back. All right. Firebox looked like it was running again. A rack of flashlights hung on the wall. One of them was missing. Could be the flashlight in your hand. My head pounded as I stepped back outside, once again enveloped in the scent of pine trees and muck. The path beyond was terribly dark, and I was grateful that my flashlight was still working. I wondered, though, was it taken from the plant? It sure seemed to, but how did I get a hold of it? I had little choice but to follow the path, and hope that it would get me back to the town. I wondered, Norman had his store along the main road. Was he close? If he was, I could certainly use some help. Yeah, I've got a real bad feeling this is going to be one of those the protagonist did it. Pickup had smashed into the guardrail and stood silent. Was this the truck that those newspaper clippings mentioned? Was there really a body to be found? A body found here too? A little closer to the tailgate, you can see a series of dried streaks down the back. Inside the truck was dried blood and broken glass. I was surprised it hadn't been towed away yet. Yeah, okay, I got that. It's a door. And it's a dumpster. It's another dumpster. The garbage room is a disgusting mess of rotten food in slick black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It's my driver's license. It looked damaged. I take it back. Yes. Cleaned the card off as best I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card and now this. I took the card in my wallet next to my credit card. Somebody steal this from me? I wonder why they would have stashed it there. Sounded like it was going to start ringing again. Excuse me. I'd entered Norman's place. This is the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet except for the faint sound of a television. TV still flickered some indecipherable channel. Oh no, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead behind his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were still wide with shock. Norman, you deserve better than this. Did I close his eyes? Yes. Wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace or just couldn't stand to think anymore about what was going on. Quickly closed Norman's eyes. Alright. I guess it was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there in the wood. Kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through the mess, did I? Yes. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. Very smart. Despite the shock of already finding Norman in that state, seeing this turned my stomach just as much. It was one of Rachel's old fall coats. What was it doing there? Was she okay? She fucking Norman. Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots in the rack was empty. The gun I found seemed to match the others there. If the handgun was Norman's, what the hell is it doing with it? Was he doing with it? The gun would fit here. Did I place it back in the cabinet? Yes. Pushed the piece back in place and felt a great burden lifted. The wife is probably dead because you killed her, and you killed Norman because they were having an affair. Or you thought they were having an affair. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half and so I threw it away. General store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, canned goods. Never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. Yep. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. Got a feeling you murdered your wife. Icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of the contents were half melted. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. Looked to be in much better shape then. Norman was dead, but I had no idea why. Was he involved in all this somehow, or was he just another victim? The gun I had found only seemed to complicate matters. It was such a relief to finally be rid of it. Home wasn't far off now, even though the rain was relentless. I had to keep going. It was locked. This wasn't the right gate. The gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. Apparently that's the right gate. The gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. The neighbor's local post box. The letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, but did I look at the letter? Yes. There was no return address, but the envelope was addressed to Norman. Carefully I tore it open and looked at the letter inside. It read, "Stay away, she's mine." That was it. No signature, no other information. I had the wrong gate. This one was locked. Wait, hang on. I'd entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I was expectant, but also afraid. Alright. The gate's broken, so we can't go back. I held my breath as I approached my back door. I was terrified to step inside. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off. Of course it was. Of course it is. I remember having breakfast here on this very table. Was that yesterday or sometime before? Door to the basement was locked. Where had I put the damn key? There was a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked that up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? Yes. I ripped the bill open and read it. My surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? Front door was locked from the inside. I couldn't get out. I couldn't go out, though. I need to see if Rachel was here. She's not, because she's dead. Because you probably murdered her. I found the last missing piece from my wallet, the old photo of Rachel. And I stared back at me, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyway? Yes. I placed the photo in my wallet, feeling like I had got part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why had I thrown it away? Because you fucking murdered her, because you thought that Norman was having an affair with her. Our television, I had purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterward, but by then it was too late. Right, let's go this way. Door was stuck shut. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. Fine, go upstairs. The books were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I looked more closely, it looked like the man in the house had some of the same books I did. The suitcase on the bed, it was Rachel's. I remembered it from that trip we took out west. Did I open this suitcase? Yes. I wasn't sure what to make of the suitcase's contents. A few days worth of clothes, some toiletries, and a train ticket. Checked the date and time. It matched the receipt I found back in those horrible sewers. What was this? Rachel, who were you running away with? She was running away with Norman, who you murdered. Highway mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered around the floor. Our sink, which needed to be replaced. One of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't got around to fixing it yet. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of those wonderful old claw-footed bathtubs. Those bathtubs are pretty baller, I gotta say. My laptop had left on and only had a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top drawer of my desk. Did I take it? Yes, I pocketed the key. Key will likely open up the basement, where we will find Rachel's corpse. I unlocked the basement door. There were all Christmas decorations in the box. There were all clothes, tools, and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. The garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Did I take the key? Yes. Took the small key. I'd put up this divider wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck and the drywall was poorly installed. Might have been able to break through if I found something heavy enough. We had way too much junk. Grab me key I'd found in the basement and locked the door. Looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? An old crowbar on the floor. Yes. Your wife is behind the drywall. Yes. With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. I smashed a large hole enough to step through. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down here? Was she okay? No, she's probably dead because you fucking murdered her. And then hit her in the fucking wall. Because that's what happens. A filthy looking pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile to see what lay within, but I knew I had to. I had come this far. After all this searching, after all I'd seen, when I looked within the rags, did I finally find my Rachel? I don't know, did you? Oh no, my hands trembled as I pulled back the layers of cloth. There at the center under all the dirt and mess was my beloved Rachel. Her arms were bruised all over and slashed repeatedly. Her clothes were ripped and torn, even though all that sickening blood, it was obvious she had been stabbed to death. The knife I carried all this way suddenly seemed like a poison. What had happened to Rachel? Who did this to you? Thought about all I had seen and wondering if any of it could help me figure out who had done this. And when I couldn't stay there any longer, I stepped away on shaky legs and made my way back upstairs. Reluctantly, exhausted from my journey, I could no longer resist the urge to close my eyes. Maybe I would use some of Rachel's travel books and find a place to go. Here was my wallet with its contents intact. Either I dropped that stuff or somebody else did. Maybe I was sleepwalking again, or maybe somebody stole it from me. Norman's store, that forest, the water tower. Was I at those places before? No, there was no way that was me out there. I woke up in that house, remember? I wasn't off in any damn forest. Oh. There, that was decided. Huh. Okay. So I can actually say no to things. This was the old photo the other man and his wife, I assumed. I found it in that house. I recalled the fatal remains I'd found deep underneath the house. What had he done there? Well, what did I think? Was that man involved in this whole mess somehow? Yes. Definitely. Those tunnels, the odd tools in his house, and the remains of his wife. He wasn't innocent, that's for sure. Within the few broken pieces that remained of the mirror, I could see my face had grown pale and weak. I couldn't bear to look again. It was like I didn't actually expect a reflection. It felt empty and drained. The reflection in that grimy glass was only a shadow, a whisper. I still love that old time jar of the closet, although it seemed like cold comfort then. It was the key card I found at the bottom of that factory locker. I never did bother to use it. Someone had been going through those lockers and poking around the plant. Still didn't quite add up. Was I the only one who'd been going to the factory? Yes. It looked that way, didn't it? The locker room. I'd given up drinking, but the laptop had finally run out of power. It was a letter I taken from the post box. Who had it out from Norman? Who sent him that letter? Must have been someone from the neighborhood, or at least somebody wanted to look that way. I wasn't sure what to think. Did he murder Rachel? No. No way. Norman had ended up dead himself. Whoever sent that threatening letter must have gotten to him. But who the hell was it? It was you. From now on, I have no one to get angry with for stupid things like buying this TV. Just thinking about things like that made me sick with grief. You did it. Or they're going to reveal that it wasn't you and it was actually somebody else, and God help me if they do, because that would actually be surprising. My old office safe sat on the floor. I used to keep tax records and other important documents in it. Used a digital passcode lock, but I didn't have the code. Maybe I left it somewhere. Alright. Seemed like I'd seen all there was. Maybe I thought I was ready to go back into the basement. Maybe there wouldn't be anything for me to find, but I'd take a last look. If I was guilty, I could take this to a warm, safe place and do something about it. Did I pick up the knife? No. No. There are other means of dealing with this. I'm gonna go back into that room again. I had already seen too much. If I was guilty, I could take this to pick up the knife, yes. Well, I can't go, what? So what, just to pick up the knife? How long had Rachel been lying in the basement? I don't know. I knew I needed to escape the nightmare, but what about the knife I still carried? I wondered. Even if I left it, would it really be over? So I'd leave that house forever? Yes. Living in this town hadn't been easy. The plant had helped in some way to stay grounded. Kept me alive, gave me something to do, and helped me get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. I had MRIs and piles of doctor's reports, but nothing seemed to help, not even drinking. But I swear I tried to give it up, I know it. The sleepwalking never really went away, though. But I know Rachel had tried. I know she had tried to be there for me, even when everything was falling apart. This night had unearthed terrible truths, but I knew it was a final act of a long-standing horror I'd been living. Wake up in that house tonight was the final cruelty. I wish I had remained unconscious in that room forever. It was obvious to me that the man I had found in that house had something to do with all this. Could he have killed Rachel? It started to seem that way. Or it started to seem that there were too many things I'd seen to think otherwise. After making it out of those tunnels, I thought the sewers might feel safer. I was wrong. The security tape I had watched showed someone being attacked by what looked like two people. But who was it that was attacked? With Rachel gone, the implications of what had happened that night were starting to gnaw at me. Someone had clearly taken my wallet. It wasn't me in those woods, or at Norman's. But who could have done so? And why drop my things all over the place? Was someone trying to incriminate me? Tangled mess of that horrible forest was an experience I'd never want to repeat. It was clear, at least, that I had been the one going back to that factory. I must have been sleepwalking or something, but what the hell was I doing there? I had given up drinking, hadn't I? So what was I doing in that boarded-up room? Suddenly my stomach started to turn. Was I responsible for that dead guard? After the factory, I thought I might just find solace if I could just get to Norman's store. But all I found were more horrors and more questions. Now that I really consider it, that's when I should have seen it coming. Damn, Norman, how did you get mixed up in all this? I know you weren't a perfect man. None of us are, but you didn't deserve this. Maybe whoever had done you in was responsible for the other murders that happened in that town. At the very least, I was convinced you and Rachel were killed by the same person. I sincerely hoped you would find some peace, my friend. I knew I never would. When I had marched through the rain towards home, I desperately clung to the hope that this would end. And I guess in a way it did. But how could I have known how hopeless it all was? I started to feel as disoriented when I sleepwalked. To think of it now, I guess I should have known from the terrible silence that greeted me when I first stepped into our house and stood there in the kitchen. There was no sound of television, radio, even the air was still. But seeing Rachel there lying ruined and discarded in the basement, that was a horror I could never have imagined. Didn't know if I'd ever find the answers I craved, but I knew that somehow the other man I'd found was responsible for this. If not directly, he must have had a hand in Rachel's death. So what was I doing in that damned house? House of his. Had I found out? Had I killed him? My damn condition made it difficult to know. Memories and time frames were always a mess, and I could never be sure. Knowing that man was dead, though, was cold comfort. My wife was gone, and no matter what happened to me, I was lost forever. As I swung open the door and stepped out into the air, I caught the scent of wet grass and fog. Rachel, my beautiful wife. Just the thought of her again, cold and inert, shook me from head to toe. What would I do now? Who could I turn to? It only been a matter of time before the police got involved, before the neighbors knew. The front lawn was soft and giving beneath my feet. Couldn't shake the urge that I shouldn't stand there, but rather that I should run. That's it? That's it. That's the end of the game. Okay. So that was Home, a unique horror adventure. It was alright, I guess. It's, I don't know. For an indie game, it's fine. I mean, there's not a whole lot of explanation of the story. Or continue. Do I want to continue? I don't know. Alright. Yeah, it just started me back over at the beginning, or the last checkpoint, I guess, before the end of the game. So, yeah, that's Home, a unique horror adventure by Benjamin Rivers. I don't think it's great. I don't really think it's terrible either. It's alright. I mean, it's competently made. There's not really a whole lot going on, particularly. I feel like the protagonist probably killed his wife and Norman. I mean, that seems like the most obvious answer to what happened. The stuff about the serial killer, stalking the town, and him not remembering things and sleepwalking and losing his job. All of that very much feels like that would be what he did, or the mysterious old man at the other house, maybe. But even that doesn't really make a lot of sense. yeah, I mean, there's obviously that code for the safe that I didn't find, and I didn't use the key card at the factory, so I'm sure there's more story bits that I've missed that will maybe flush things out a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I'm not really in the mood to continue playing this to get the rest of the achievements and stuff for this. So that's it for home. A unique horror adventure, I guess. Not really. It was fine. It was competently made. Um, it's all right. I think I only paid $5 for it, so I don't feel bad about that. It looked nice. I mean, I like the pixel art style. That was really cool. Um, sure as shit better than Emily Wants to Play. This is more of a game than that was. So yeah, that is it for Pixel Dreadful Presents Home. Um, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll be back with another game soon. Later.